Hey everyone, got Blaze Thomas, Dan Scoff here, and the good news is that we don't have really nasty storms right now. There is one storm that's in Polk County. Blaze, you've been watching closely, and we've got this, by the way, just a gorgeous shot of this anvil. You can see the mammatus clouds that are underneath the anvil, and that's a back-sheared anvil. We are trying to look for the overshooting top, but couldn't see it because there was just too much cloud debris. But nevertheless, pretty awesome looking storm. And by the way, this is what it looks like, Blaze. It's a little bit of an isolated cell. It was severe earlier. However, that severe thunderstorm now is weakened to below severe limits. If you're hearing an echo, could just me being loud, could be an issue with the audio. Let's see if anybody else is hearing a really bad echo.
You want me to check?
Yeah, I got the echo cancellation on, so
Let me make sure.
yeah.
It'll take me 1 second. No, I don't hear any echo.
Yeah, okay. We're good on the echo. So maybe you have a speaker on and the speaker is causing an echo. So no echo. It's fine. Good deal.
Sometimes Facebook also may run 2 videos at the same time, so you may want to close out and open
Yeah,
back up.
yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Sometimes you'll have a window open and you're like, oh, and it's two streams going on
Right.
at once. One is enough of me. Let me tell you, zero is enough. You've seen way too much of us lately. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into the storms this morning because I do want to talk about that. We will mention the severe weather potential. I question it, to be perfectly honest with you. And then as we get into kind of a look at what I was going to say is, the radar information with that storm. So we're going to look at a few things with that. But first of all, let's show you this on Mega Doppler. It doesn't look like a really big cell, but look at this. This has got the mid-level rotation with it, and it looks like it extends all the way down to the ground. But I mean, obviously that is rotation. Look at the size of this updraft. I mean, it's huge.
It is.
And it's got a back sheared anvil, but just not a lot of upper level support. So I think these updrafts and downdrafts are colliding in with each other. And what that's doing is causing these storms to kind of dissipate. So you can't sustain a rotating updraft if you don't, because it's probably going up rotating and then it just collapses on itself because the upper level support is lacking.
Well, and we've also seen like the health threat would significantly increase, and then it would just die down.
Yeah,
real fast.
yeah, exactly. So we'll take a look at the risk. But isn't that cool? I wanted to share that. I wanted to show that. That's how heating cooling mega Doppler in a 3D version. This is a little bit of that small hail. This, by the way, just to let you know, you can see Mina is on the screen. There is one storm, one cell. That's it. And I don't expect a whole lot of activity to pop up, to be honest with you, in Northwest Arkansas. So here's the good news. You can breathe a sigh of relief. We had enough storms this morning. We're actually going to be okay. It's not going to be around 42,236. So let's take a look. First of all, before we dive into what happened, we'll look at some of the damage. We'll show you some of the videos. And I know some of you got damaged too as well. Let's take a look at the latest severe weather risk. And I don't think they changed it at all. They kept it the exact same. So here's that severe weather risk. Now, we are lacking the upper level support at the moment. There will be low level winds that will increase. And you'll see here large hail, high winds, and tornadoes, all possible. But I'm not buying the storm chances for us, to be honest with you. I'm only saying 20%, Joe. So you got, or excuse me, Jay, 15% is what you say. Let's talk about this. So there's the risk. We'll look at the individual threats, and they literally didn't change anything. There's a look at tornado or two possible in that green shaded area. That is all focused in the river valley, basically, and just not a whole lot of activity that's popping up. So, Carrie, you bring up a good point. I've seen people mad at the local weatherman didn't warn the tornado in Gentry and high flow. Like, come on, guys. Brief tornado means it occurs between radar scans. And here's another thing. It really wasn't even a very well definitive circulation on the radar. So we're going to be looking at that. Yeah, SBC might be looking at something that we're not. So here's what I want to show you is that the future track is showing some storm development later on tonight. And that makes sense when what we call the low level jet will start to increase and you're going to see perhaps some isolated development. I think there's going to be some training cells. I'm not sold that these are super impressive, to be honest with you. So I don't think there's really a whole lot of a severe weather threat for Northwest Arkansas, and I'm not sold on it happening in the River Valley either. There's just right now we're lacking the upper level support, Blaze, and that's something we were looking at. I want to continue to watch this Waldron WeatherBug Network camera because we got this recording, but you can see the anvil of that storm. The Mattis is kind of blocking it, but that's the back sheared anvil that's off in the distance. Okay, so here's what I want to do real quick. That's the radar. Here's a look at the River Valley forecast, and you will see that we get up to about 80%. Now, I do think storms are going to be possible tonight, and I think the models are onto something there. I'm not sold that it's the severe weather risk is going to be as widespread. And I'll show you a few reasons why. So, Blaze, one of the things that I taught you was upper level support. Explain to us, just how important that is. And I know you know. So what we're going to do is I want to bring this up on some of the reasons how we know the upper level support is lacking.
Well, one of the things that upper level support is very important with, and we can see that with this thunderstorm we've been watching. It was strong to severe, and then it seemed to kind of die down a little bit. It still got some hail with it, but the good indication is we're waiting on that front to move in, and I think that front, like he was saying, that low level jet would start to kick in, but that won't happen until close to the overnight hours.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be lacking that upper level support for a while until that happens, and then by then, are we capped? Do we have something that would prohibit the thunderstorm development?
I think all of that stuff is really important, and being capped means that just not a whole lot of storms. That means you get elevated storms above the low level instability, and therefore you really don't have any tornado potential. So can Springdale go to bed? Yes. I think it's okay. I don't think there's going to be any storms. Even if they do develop, I don't think you're going to see much. Now, here's what I do want to show you. This was an impressive updraft, and it was severe earlier, but this is cool. This shows you upper level support or the lack thereof. Look at how that anvil is almost perfectly circular. So what happens is the updraft is going up. It's releasing cloud debris into the stratosphere, but it's trying to. And then you can see it collapse. This right here is a textbook classic overshooting top. Now, an overshooting top is essentially a thunderstorm that has a rising updraft that gets above the tropopause, and that right there shows you the shadowing the east side of that. Now, here's what's cool about this. I was gonna tell you what I was gonna ask what that dark spot was, and I just gave it away. So because that updraft is so tall and it's accelerating and punching up into the tropopause, the stratosphere is very stable. It's very warm, very stable, so that causes the air to sink. So that's why these overshooting tops, watch when we put it into motion. Man, is that cool.
It's incredible.
Weather is so cool. But you see how that anvil is almost perfectly circular? You can see towards the very end of this high resolution visible satellite that the anvil starts spreading out a little bit more to the east. I kind of attributed this to taking a bucket of paint and pouring it, and it hits the ground and it spreads out slowly. Not water. Water spreads out way too quick. So like something that has a high viscosity. You dump that bucket of paint onto the ground, but instead of dumping it on the ground, imagine that you flip everything upside down and you're pouring the paint up to the ceiling and then it spreads out. That's what the anvil is with thunderstorms. Now we can also look at something else too. We'll look at what's called the visible satellite with the infrared. So this is what we call an IR sandwich. And you're going to see how these cloud tops are rather cold. So we'll let this load. has to load the first time, right, Blaze?
Right.
There you get to see those colder cloud tops. Now that is cool. And you can really see the structure in that. The problem is that you have to be far enough away in order to see that overshooting top. And right now we weren't far enough away. And I know some of you might be watching the Razorback game, and man, we've got to keep it up. We're only down by 1, but oh, that's frustrating. That was a play to third that could have been caught. What happened there?
I don't know.
What in the deal was that? All right. I don't know what kind of play that was. Don't choke, Razorbacks. We need you. So there's a look at that updraft spreading out. That's pretty cool. And then you can see it spreading out. But you want to see where the storms are really intense and had a little more upper level support? That's going to be in South Oklahoma. So watch this. Look at how the anvil is spreading out more to the southeast instead of it being perfectly circular. So that shows how that updraft is being exhausted to the south, or there's an exhaust, a venting, if you will. Exhausted is me and Blaze, but there's a venting of the updraft, which allows it to sustain itself. So that kind of shows you how that develops. And look at those storms blowing up and see how that anvil is spreading out to the southeast. So that's what we're looking at. And if we look at the satellite and radar right now, there are those storms and there's that severe weather. Does not really include us. See how the motions are all over the place. So the support is not super strong.
Right.
But it's there. And then this was the storm that blew up and became severe. But this is what you got to look at. Water vapor. Is there any upper level support? Not really. All the energy is kind of moving more easterly and to the north of us. And so we're not going to see as much. Okay, so that's kind of a breakdown of everything here. I'll look at one more model for those that are interested in what's happening here. This is the 3-kilometer graph. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's what it shows. And it shows some development tonight. I do believe that there will be lightning and thunder in the river valley, maybe a couple of severe storms. Notice how it barely clips northwest Arkansas at all. The boundaries already kind of come through. The moisture convergence is to the south. I don't think northwest Arkansas sees anything. So we're going to be adjusting those precipitation chances. Check this out. No, it won't delay anything. Look at this. That's the updraft. Is that cool or what? And then that's starting to be reflected from the sun as the sun's setting in the western sky. We've got that on recording. So hopefully we can get to see some mammatus clouds underneath the anvil on the back sheared anvil. Okay, Blaze, let's talk about what happened this morning.
Okay.
Now, you were working on some schoolwork.
I was.
Yeah.
I had some college.
So had some college to do. That's what you're doing. I was covering those storms in the morning. We were watching that closely. I'm just kind of checking out what's going on here.
While I was working on my college, I was multitasking. I had you on the TV.
Yeah.
Watching you.
So let's bring up Mega Doppler.
Okay.
Let's bring up the archive radar at 1:25 in the morning is the time that we were really interested in. And so this is going to be an archive radar. We're just setting that straight right now that you don't have to worry. This is not right now, but this is the archive radar. And a lot of people wondering, why didn't you, call for a tornado? Well, number one, the storm was rotating initially. And we know that there was a tornado that was confirmed in Salina, Oklahoma. Here's the tornado warning that we were focused on as it was in southern Washington County. Well, at this time, you will see as it moves into Decatur and Gravette, questionable if it was a tornado because it looks like a lot of straight line winds, but you also have to remember that anywhere along that line, there could be that tornado potential. So if we put this into motion, watch what happens here. We're starting to see a circulation. It's not super strong, but it does show up just a little bit. Time of this is 1:25 a.m. in the morning. So if we put this in more into motion, you start to see it increase a little bit in intensity. One of the things you see is the green colors and even some blue showing up. This is rain that's racing towards the radar. Now, the radar that we're looking at right here is from Springfield. Springfield probably had the best view of this. But remember, this beam is like 4,700 feet above the ground. So there's no way to know if this is a tornado that's on the ground unless we have visual evidence. So that is why when we're covering these storms, that we literally we have those weather cameras and we're watching those weather cameras because all it takes is one power flash and we know it's a tornado on the ground because this doesn't tell us much at all. We knew it was a pretty impressive storm. We knew it was a strong storm and we knew that it had a tornado possible tag. Now, tornado possible is where you have a storm that's rotating, but it's not strong enough or tight enough to prompt tornado warning criteria. Problem is that we encounter a lot of these storms. The radar beam is too high. The Fort Smith radar is parallel to the beam. In fact, why don't we load up a different archive here? Okay. So we'll go from 6 to 7, and we'll load this up from, let's go from Tulsa, the Tulsa radar. So the Tulsa radar is shooting back into the storm from the west to the east. You get a lot of attenuation with the radar beam. The velocity signatures were doing stuff weird too on yesterday morning, last night into this morning. So Blaze was able to complete his schoolwork. Jason's asking.
Yes. I got it done.
And he studied up on photographs too.
I did
as well. Yep.
But we're not going to be quizzed.
No quiz. We're going to give him a break on that. But you got the radar located. Okay, so just go. Why don't you just go from 6Z to 7Z?
Okay.
Yep. So that's 5:31.
Yep.
Keep going to 1 o'clock in the morning.
So I think probably about right here.
Yep. Drag that in. We'll load this up, and I'll show you a totally different look.
It's loading, right,
but it's also not super impressive on the radar. So this is what I'm saying. We need a radar bad.
We do.
A local radar in Northwest Arkansas. We have already done a site survey. We've already done an occultation study. That's what it's called. Occultation is basically to measure the radar beams, attenuation, if there's any type of, let's just say, signal fade that drops off, different things like that. So, I'm going to lobby for it. That's just all there's to it. We've got some Fortune 500 companies that I'm sure would want to know. We want to release that information to the Weather Service so they can use it. There's TDWRs in Tulsa. Why not have a TDWR in Northwest Arkansas? Terminal Doppler Weather Radar. Okay, back to the radar here. This is archive radar. Not quite at 125. Go back in time a little bit.
Okay.
So this is the circulation that's approaching Lincoln. And by the way, there was damage in Lincoln. There you see southwest of Westville, Christie, there was damage there. And that's a tornado warning. So that's why we've got that area. So zoom out just a little bit and go into western Benton County. And now look at that little circulation. So zoom in on that. Go back in time just a little bit, a couple of frames. And let's zoom into Benton County. No, that's Washington County. We want to zoom into Benton County because that's where we know that it was a confirmed tornado. So zoom in. That's it. That's all that shows. That is not impressive. Look at the NROT too. The NROT shows up, but it's not super strong. It's got just a little bit of blue, but look at all the other areas that are blue that show that weak circulation. Go to storm relative velocity and then no CC drop, nothing like that. And so if I'm looking at that and I'm looking at it quick and we've got other tornado warnings that are happening, that doesn't scream tornado potential. Right. Let's load up one more. Look at Fort Smith. All right. While we're doing that, after you load up that, and you can do shift, by the way, to make it real quick. So click on that and then go all the way down and hold shift and then go to, go just 6 to 7Z. Okay. There we go. Well, that'll work too. But what I was saying is just click the first one, hold shift, and then click the last one, and it'll highlight all of them. Quick spin up. It was quick. There's no
was.
doubt about that. Those spin ups happen, man. They do. And that's why one of the things that we mentioned is that when that line was running north to south, we knew that the conditions were favorable for tornadoes. And that's exactly what that line was. It was balanced. Balanced means that tornado potential is looking likely. You've never seen that QLCS graphic. I'll have to show you it. We'll show it on here as well. But remember, if you're watching right now and you're wondering about storms tonight in Northwest Arkansas, nothing. I don't think we see a single storm, to be honest with you. If we do, it'll be right around the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. Okay, back to the radar in Fort Smith. So now it's a different look, a different circulation. And there's a look at the circulation that's confirmed that's coming into western Adair County. Again, archive radar. If you're watching this is not happening right now. And then it moves east. Now, here's the problem with QLCS tornadoes. First of all, the beam can't be over 6,000 feet because those mesovortices, Blaze, they happen underneath the beam at 6,000 feet. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that the beam can't be parallel to the line because it's tough to see the circulation. Case in point, look at this right here. That beam and the ISO, the zero ISO dot, is right in line with the storm. Zero ISO dot means, think about it. If the wind is going, let's say my hand is the radar and the wind is going like this, guess what? It's not coming towards the radar.
Right.
It's not going away from the radar. It's paralleling the radar beam. So it can't tell, well, is it going left or right? No, it only tells you if it's going towards or away. So that is the zero ISO dot. So if we look at this, the winds are going basically west to east, parallel or perpendicular to the radar beam, and the radar beam is parallel to the line. So that shows maybe a little bit of a circulation right there, but I mean, come on, man. There's all sorts of circulations all over. The only thing I could say is maybe this little bit of a line break right here, which is a maybe reminiscent of a tornado, but there's all sorts of different line breaks that show up. So you can't, there's no way you can see that tornado. You know, that's just impossible. And that's why those tornado possible tags are so important.
And we need a new radar.
Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. No more weather in Rogers. I don't think we see any storms at all. And that storm's starting the weekend, by the way, that one in Polk County. We'll take a look at that. So what was the result? Let's go to weather 2, if you can.
Okay.
And we'll take a look at this video. This is video, by the way, from Brian Empfinger. Brian Empfinger, yeah, there's the cell. It's definitely gone. So check out this damage that was in Heifel. And you're going to see the actual suction vortex in the grass from this. Go ahead and play the video.
Okay.
Let's roll it. And so here we go. This is Brian Empfinger's video, drone video of the tornado damage in the Silver Springs subdivision, just a little northwest of XNA. I actually know the homeowner of that home, and they were not at home at the time, thankfully. But they said things can be replaced. Nobody was seriously hurt or injured. But boy, that would have been a scary one to be in that. Here is a look at the storm a little bit closer. Look at how good that video is. Brian Empfinger is Silver Meadows. Okay, Silver Meadows. I'm so sorry about that. I think I was told Silver Springs. Maybe I was thinking of, Silver Meadows. Okay, Silver Meadows subdivision. I said that wrong. I'll say it right at 9. So Silver Meadows subdivision. Now you're going to see some more drone video. This is raw edited video, by the way. Well, somewhat edited. It's not fully edited for news. But Brian Empfinger allowed me to show this. You can see that roof that's ripped off. But wait until he gets southwest of this neighborhood. You're going to actually see the swirl patterns in the grass. And by the way, this is what Dr. Ted Fujita did back in the day when he was trying to determine tornadoes and rear flank downdrafts and the different surges in tornadoes. and how they have swirl patterns. He was in cornfields over Iowa flying in planes. Brian, I will check my messages here in just a second. So here's a look at the house. Look at the debris and the insulation. Yes! Razorbacks, 2 on, 1 out. Awesome. Silver Meadows is across the street from me. So we're about to get to the chicken houses. These are just some shots here. It's about 4 minutes of video. There you go. Chicken houses. Now check this out. These are the actual swirl patterns from the tornado. Look at that. That's the suction vortex. And then it hits those chicken houses and just obliterates them. Only in that small section. This is actually flying the path. This is so cool. Brian, thanks so much for this video. Look at the swirl patterns, a counterclockwise spin and twist in the grass. And there you can see right there, tornado coming through, which, by the way, was fairly rain wrapped, although there was a very good visual from some of the videos, and we'll show you that. And then look at that coming through, hits those chicken houses, moves northeast. The neighborhood, Silver Meadows, was this one right here. And so that's exactly where those homes were hit. Let's go. Hit, bases loaded, put on the beer hats. All we need is a sack fly and we tie it up. That's all we need. And there you go. That's more views of that. It is so clear, isn't it not? That is just incredible. Loaded them up. That's exactly what we want to see. So, hey, thanks, Brian, for that. That's some pretty incredible video of that tornado. And not only that, of those swirl patterns in the grass. When I saw that this morning, I was like, oh, yeah, definitely a tornado. Look at this. This is close up. And there you got those swirl patterns in the grass, and you can see that a little bit more close up. So it actually almost like trees. It bends the grass and shows. And there you see the trees. Look at the convergent wind pattern right there. You got trees that are pointed in different directions, kind of in towards the center. So you know that that's a tornado. And then look at that. That's a close-up of the.
That's incredible.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's super awesome. Thanks for not cutting the hay yet. Yeah, so we can see the tornado. Well, he couldn't cut the hay because it's been so darn wet. I think this is the end of the video, too. All right. So cool stuff right there. Back to the radar, by the way. This is the only cell in town. The cap is holding, but we will see some elevated storms later on tonight in the River Valley. So here's a question that Eric Floor has. And I want to go back to it. I think so. Let's go back to it. Here it is. Dan, can you address the lack of sirens? So here's the deal with the sirens. The sirens are not automated. They are typically set off by emergency managers. If they are automated, they wouldn't go off because there was no tornado warning.
Right.
So you can't sound the sirens. Another thing with sirens is that they're good for outdoors. They're really not used for indoor warning systems. Weather call next gen. That's not going to work either. It works great when the warning's issued, but this is why we need a radar so bad in Northwest
because
Arkansas.
there was no tornado warning.
No tornado warning. Now, there was tornado possible, and tornado possible really doesn't do anything for the warning alert system.
Right.
I actually spoke with Weather Call on a conference call today saying we got to maybe add some messaging saying, a tornado could touch down. If we had to choose a location, we're thinking Kessler Mountain. Kessler Mountain is going to have the best view and the least amount of fade. So some people are asking, why don't you put it at XNA? XNA actually is kind of down in a valley, and you would have a lot of the land being blocked. It would take like a 200-foot tower in order to put that up. We tied it up. Oh. He's running home. We've got it. We got the lead, I think, 3-2. Stand by.
We're waiting.
3-2, baby.
Let's go.
3-2. Oh, whatever. What are you reviewing? He reviewed it last time when he tagged him, and he only tagged him like 14 times.
It was very obvious.
What are you doing this for? Reviewing the tag when he was like tagged him on the rear, tagged him on the leg, tagged him on the foot, and then tagged him again when
I don't
he
think
walked
you could
across.
tag him anymore. I mean,
It's like
tagged him so
it'd
much.
tackle him.
Right.
Yeah. So Kessler would be a very good radar location, which means we would be able to tilt that radar beam down. It wouldn't be fully blocked. That was not obstruction, and he's not catching that either. And even if he did, it didn't matter. What are you reviewing? Weather's looking great for tonight. No problems. Some storms in the river valley, but that's about it. I don't really necessarily buy the risk this time. It is possible to hear the sirens indoors. It is.
Especially if you're really close to them. But don't rely on them.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah. Because here's another thing too. When the wind is blowing, sound waves get traveled with the wind. So if you are, let's say, for instance, let's say you got a strong inflow. You're south of the storm. Tornado siren is north of you. That southerly wind will take, I know the siren spins around sometimes, but that sound will be basically traveled northward and you won't hear it. So this is a problem here. So here's a great question. I'll add this. There's some communities that are doing away with sirens. Cell phones have warning apps, and sirens, it's antiquated technology. Let's be honest with you. It's World War II air raid sirens. That's what it is. And I know it's like this mentality of sirens, and that's the only way that you'll be warned. Hey, you know what? If the city's got them, here's the deal: use them, right? Because a number of sources of warning are great. But if you're using that siren, let's say the power goes out,
right,
and you're relying on it, there's your fail. And that happened with, by the way, with the Andover, Kansas tornado, April 26, 1991. So you could hear the siren, but was it sounded? No, because there wasn't a tornado warning. So, okay, just in case you're watching, and just in case you're looking at this stream, this is a look at the satellite and radar. Everything is fairly quiet right now. Yes, we do have some instability that's available, but we also have a pretty strong SIN. We have a pretty strong cap, and I'll show you that here as we look. There is the Cape, which is pretty high. We don't have the upper level support, and let's go ahead and look at the SIN. So here's the radar with the convective inhibition, according to this, and it's starting to build back in. In fact, if we loop this, you can kind of see how that SIN is building back in. How do we know there's no upper level support? Well, we go to the vorticity. This is why we show vorticity and why it's so important, because that'll tell you where those short waves are. Short waves provide lift. Here's a look at what we've got. Look at how that ridge axis is building in. So there's the upper level low. That's already moving east. I just don't see a whole lot of development. Yes, I think we do have thunderstorm development in the river valley. I can't deny that. I think that does happen. But Blaze, you going to do a bow tie or a regular tie?
I'm doing a regular tie.
I think you could bust out the bow tie. I think you could pull it off.
That would be different.
What if you did storm bow ties? No, that would be epic.
That would be pretty cool.
Speaking of that, I bought some storm dress shoes.
He did.
Doc Martens. Yep, let's go. All right, so here's a look at the future track. Showers and storms popping up. But look, every single run, it gets weaker and weaker. Yeah, he's like, get that off of the screen, please. Please. He was quick to tell me that comment was still up. 3-2 officially, and I think they got a new pitcher. Hopefully, who's a belly itcher. Look at that. You got the storm with the The backshoot amble. Oh, I guess they did get out of the inning. So we got a new pitcher here. What are you all dancing about? About to go down. About to strike out. Boy, one run is not much insurance, though.
No, it's really not.
Jason has another question for you.
What is it?
Roadhouse or Colton's?
Oh,
Steakhouse?
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse all the way.
Okay, I got another one.
Uh-oh.
Texas Roadhouse or Doe's Eat Place?
I've never
Been to Doe's Eat
No.
Place. All
So
right.
I'm going to have to go Texas Roadhouse.
Do that. What about, let's see here, what else? Basically good the rest of the evening. Yes, we're good. How about Herman's? Never been to Herman's.
No.
How about a pop-up? Catch that? Got it? Get out of there. That's one down. Are we in the 8th or the 9th?
We're in the 8th.
Okay.
Well, we're up 1. I mean,
We're up
we
1.
just got to win by 1. That's that's all we got to do. Just got to have one more point than the other team.
All right, let's see. Think of another steakhouse.
I'm mainly just
Ponderosa. No, I'm just kidding. that's an old restaurant back at home, Milwaukee. So
if
yes,
I'm going to get steak, it's probably going to be Texas Roadhouse.
if you're watching, we're pretty much done. We will see thunderstorms. There will be storms in the River Valley. In fact, here is the future track radar. This is the extended one. So some upper level support comes in. The low level jet kicks in, but do those storms look super impressive? No, because they're lacking the upper level support. And maybe a few lingering showers. Oh, that's number 2.
Ooh. That's quick.
Yeah, we actually have that ring camera video. And in fact, I want to show you that. Stand by here. You've got to see that because it's pretty awesome. We posted that too. Stand by here. Blaze, I got to teach you how to do this too as well. So UBC, recents. Okay. There it is. I'm going to download this real quick. All right. There we go. And then we'll play it. Yeah, we got that video too because here it is. I think we actually posted it first. Which graphic is that on? Hold on just a sec. Oh, you're on Mega Doppler?
Yeah, we're gonna be on Mega Doppler.
Okay, we got to do that on a different
Switch
one.
computer.
Yeah, hold on just a sec before you do. Go ahead and hit 1.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, bring it back. Okay, we got 2 outs.
There we go.
I just gotta drag this into a different computer because this is pretty crazy. We actually have a still of it too. Okay, so we got that. Go ahead and weather 2.
Okay.
It might be a low end EF2, just based on that damage. We'll be watching that. So, yep, just go right there. Go into the weather drive. It should be right off the top,
yep.
And then we'll load that up. So here it is. So this is the ring camera video as it plays. Go ahead and hit play. I think maybe hit the play button.
There we go.
Just going. Watch this. Now, if you aren't watching closely, you won't see the tornado. But this is looking towards the southwest. This is from that subdivision. And did you see it? Did you see the tornado? It's like, this is why you got one shot, man. There it is.
You got to rely on light.
One shot. So going back, I mean, the swirl patterns also confirmed it. But watch, you have one You got one view, one lightning strike, not even a power flash that backlights the tornado right here.
Ooh. Wow.
Wait, what happened now? Did they hit a home run? What happened? Don't tell me they hit a home run. Oh, come on.
But we're tied.
Yeah, but that stinks.
But at least we're not down.
I'm gonna go
I
back.
mean,
I'm gonna go back here. I want to get to that
want me to
still
get it?
frame. Yeah,
here, I got it. I'll just go back.
there it
Right there.
is.
Yep. Oh,
I know it's better if you go forward. I'm just gonna go forward.
right there.
That's it. There is a tornado.
Wow.
And if you watch, this is a different one, huh? Is this one better or worse? I don't know. That's a pretty good one, though. That is a really clear cut image. Watch when we play it. You can actually see the rotation in the storm. Yeah, the Weather Service was coming out today. Look at that.
Wow.
One view, one flash. That's it. And that's why when we're looking at those weather bug cameras, we're trying to view one flash in order to see that tornado potential. And if that line, which by the way the radar won't tell you if it's a tornado, that's it. You can actually see the way that those swirls are happening. So, was that a different video, or was that video a better view, or was it not as good? No, you can't hear the video. There is no sound on that. Well, there is sound, but you can't hear anything. It's not much in that video for sound. Might be the same camera. If there are sirens in your house, you will hear them inside. I grew up in Southwest Missouri in Fayetteville. As far as I know, the only sirens are at the University of Arkansas campus. Oh, we got to get this last out, please, for the love of God. Let's get this last out. Sirens are no longer meant to be warning people indoors. Sirens are proven to be super unreliable. Actually, a way to warn people. The Joplin 2001 EF5 showed that. Yeah, because the siren was sounding and then it went off, and I think there's a lot of other stuff. It was the same video, just edited. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's the unedited version. And then we stilled the image to really see that. But man, just one flash. That's it.
That's incredible.
One last look at the risk, which I don't know if I necessarily buy, to be honest with you. Here's the risk, level 1, level 2. I think that's way too far north. And here's a look at the isolated storm activity that's going to possibly develop. I don't even know if that happens, honestly. The models have been kind of wishy-washy. Nothing else in Northwest Arkansas. So that's it. That sums up everything, man. We looked at the lack of radar data that's good for QLCS tornadoes. We looked at what that storm looked like, some videos, some pictures, a little bit on that cell, the lack of upper level support, amble shadowing, also several other things. People say it sounds like a train. Respectfully, it sounds like you're on the tracks and the train's coming directly at you at full speed. Yeah, it's pretty wicked. Tornadoes are just crazy.
They are.
All right. Well, take care, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless. And I don't think we're going to be doing another live, honestly, unless some stuff really goes downhill quick tonight. But I don't expect that. So have a great rest of your night. Woo pig, go hogs. We need this last out.
Come on.
Man, we need this. Go ahead. You can turn on the house lights, by the way, too. Right. Really? Becky. All right. I got to check that out. I will look at that. She's tagged me in a video. It has an impressive audio where you can hear the train sound. Wow. Let's go. Let's go, Becky. The train sound, the Razorback train's coming for LSU. Come on. Base hit, and it's problems.
One more strike, and then we get no base.
You know what I do? I throw a curveball. throw. Yeah, but they're going to be swinging at it. Come on, here we go. I'm not going to stop this until this inning's over. Oh, full count.
Oh,
Come on, man.
One more pitch.
We need you, we
One more
need you.
pitch. One more pitch, guy. Come on. One more pitch.
Exactly. I'm sure everybody else is watching it. We're watching it. This is like a reaction
Right.
video. Got
Yes!
it! Let's go!
Let's go!
Woo!
Come on!
What a
Ninth
pitch!
inning. Let's go!
Come on! Did they hit a home run, by the way, to tie it up? Gosh darn it. There it is. That wind, I'll tell you, that wind blowing in from the northwest, that's allowing home runs this time. Whereas the prevailing wind from the southeast, coming from the southeast, direction, I'm probably going to say maybe 125, 130, because 180 is south.
Right.
90 is east. So a little bit more. I want to watch a game with you. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
we do still have a lot of people on as we are reacting to the game.
We got to run. What's up?
What's the
Risk?
Yeah,
We're done. We're done. No, nothing in Northwest Arkansas. Some storms popping up in the River Valley, but
Okay, but it's not like a big.
nope. I don't think we need to lead. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right, sounds good.
don't need to lead, and also don't do an A block either because there's nothing really happening right now.
Okay. Like,
Unless you want me to cover what happened this morning.
yeah, we can probably do that.
Okay, let's do
Yeah,
that.
you do have an A block hit.
Yeah,
Basically,
we'll
like,
do that. I'll say that.
I'm gonna say, we saw severe thunderstorm warnings
Yep.
a couple of hours ago. Is that like good?
A few hours ago. Yeah, early this morning. Yep. All right. Woo pig. Let's go. We got to go because we're doing a newscast somewhat, right? We're watching it on all these TVs here.
If I mess up during it all during the newscast,
Yeah,
I have
just
one
go
eye on the
easy.
prompter,
Go
I have
easy.
one eye on the game.
Exactly.
Multitasking.
You got to do that. All right. God bless, guys. See you later.
See ya.
Thanks for watching.